Hello everybody, it is me, the one and only Divine Iconoclast, and today I'm here to review an album. I know, shocker, because I never review albums on this channel. The album we are going to be reviewing today is Viktoria by Marduk. Marduk, to get into a bit of history of the band, is a very, very accomplished, well-known Swedish black metal band. I believe they've been around since 1990, which makes them one of the very first Swedish black metal bands. And they released their debut album in 1992, I'm pretty sure, which is called Darkless Endless. Then after that, they had a bit of turmoil with lineup changes and whatnot. Eventually, they had their drummer come on vocals, only to get kicked out of the band on the next album. But by the time 1996 rolled around, they had the perfect classic lineup for Marduk, which was from 1996 to 2003, and they released several quintessential Norsecore albums. I'm gonna call it Norsecore because that's what it is. It's just fast tremolo-picked guitar blast beats. The album that sits on top in terms of public opinion, maybe not my opinion, but the album that sits on top of them all during this time period is the album Panzer Division Marduk. And to this day, that album came out in 1999. And to this day, people still have shirts of it. It's like they still play songs off of it live. In fact, I think they play as many songs live off of that album as they do the new album, if I remember their live set list correctly. I even recently bought a mug that has Panzer Division Marduk on it. It's become the band's slogan, the band's logo, the band's identity. Ever since that album, they've also been pushing in less of a satanic theme and more of a World War II theme. Which is actually pretty prevalent on this album, Viktoria. And, however, after 2003, the classic lineup fell apart for reasons I don't know, and they reformed with their old bass player and whatnot, and they got my new favorite vocalist, which is my favorite black metal vocalist, Marduk. And ever since then, they've been releasing pretty good albums. Nothing quite as good as back in their heyday, but their album quality has still been pretty good. And now that leads us up to their 14th album, and I think it's their 5th or 6th. Hold on, let me see here. Plague Angel, Rom, 512, Wormwood, Serpent Sermon. This is their 6th album with their new vocalist, Marduk. And I'm here to report that not all is well on the Marduk camp. Have you ever heard a Marduk song before? I'm going to say that most of you can answer yes to that question, and if you can't answer yes to that question, then you've probably already heard this album before. There is zero experimentation on this album. And whenever I say zero, I mean literally zero. The most experimental thing you can say this album has going for it is in the opening track, Werewolf, they play like a raid siren. Speaking of the opening track, Werewolf, what the hell was Marduk thinking with this song? I have several questions with this. First of all, why was it a single? Secondly, why was it the lead single? And third of all, why the hell do you still play it live? I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but this song sucks. It's one of the worst, if not the worst Marduk song I've ever heard before. I'm sorry. It's a one half note song. It's not even a one note song. It's a half note song. It doesn't have anything special going for it. The guitar line is annoying. It's all in chromatics, and it's just completely stupid. It's not enjoyable whatsoever, the guitar part. The drums and everything are boring. The song has kind of like a pseudo-punk vibe to it. It's kind of like a mixture, like a perfect half and half blend between like hardcore and black metal. And it just doesn't sound good. I feel like that could be a thing that bands can do good. And in fact, bands like Gorgoroth even have done that in the past on their album Antichrist. They've done that to success, in all honesty. And that song just does not do it. I guess cool, there's an air raid siren in the background. Awesome, congratulations, you sampled an air raid siren. And besides from that, I mean, I guess Marduk sounds fine as always on the song, because Marduk is the best part of modern day Marduk. The recent Marduk albums have been good, but not quite on the guitar side, haven't quite reached the same pinnacle that their earlier work has. Moving past Werewolf, which is an abysmal track, and definitely brings down the album a whole 1 point at the bare minimum, because it's awful. It's not a very good song at all. Moving past that, I think I don't know. This album has so many peaks and valleys to it, it's ridiculous. It's extremely spotty. from, like, Werewolf and Tiger 1 and fucking The Devil's Song. That song is also bad. There's just so many songs in here I'm like, oh, really? Marduk released that? But then you have songs like Equestrian, Bloodlust, Narva, the title track of Viktoria. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is some of the best material Marduk has released this decade. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. These songs are great. They're on my Marduk playlist. Yes, I like Marduk so much, I have an entire playlist dedicated to Marduk on my phone. So that should tell you guys my stakes in this and how much I wanted this album to succeed and be great, but it's just not. Not that it's bad, though. Not at all. Because, like I said, it's with peaks and valleys. Like, the song Narva is one of, honestly, I think it might be one of my favorite Marduk songs. And that's what makes this album so sad for me, is because it had, like I said, the peaks and valleys thing. It's just, I'm like, this album could have been great if they could have spent a bit more time refining the songs and taking out some of the worst ones and not putting Werewolf on the album. I would have been completely okay with not having Werewolf on this album. If you couldn't tell, I really don't like that song. The one consistent theme on this album, however, that can help describe the peaks and valleys is that the album is good when it's fast and bad when it's slow. This is not always the case with Marduk. In fact, Marduk has really... My favorite Marduk album, which I'm pretty sure that this is not at all the conventional pick for your favorite Marduk album, but my favorite Marduk album, Le Grande Danse Macabre, is the slowest Marduk album I've heard, at least. I have not listened to all of Marduk's discography, but it's the slowest one that I've heard for sure. So I'm not saying that Marduk can't write slow music and that they need to all the time re-release Panzer Division Marduk, which is 280 BPM blast beats over tremolo pick guitar for 30 minutes. If that was the case, I would hate the album just as much. What I'm saying is that on this album in particular, the slow moments are awful, especially Tiger 1. That track, something about the speed of it just makes the song off. I feel like if the song, or it makes the song feel like it's off. If the song was faster, I feel like it wouldn't even be nearly as bad, because the guitar part mixed with the guitar part seems kind of slow and sluggish. The drums just seem like they don't match. It seems like the drummer wants to play faster, but he has to like constrain himself. And it just, there's something about it just feels so off to me. Like it's trying to be that track of the album where you can like headbang to it, like kind of slow. You know, maybe like a slow, brutal part of the album. I don't want to say brutal because it's not death metal, but you know what I'm saying. Like a slower, groovier headbanging part. And it's really trying to be that. You can tell it because you can kind of nod your head, but something about it just feels off, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But for sure, the speed issue on this album is my biggest absolute complaint. The slow parts are bad, and the fast parts are good. That's why my favorite song on this album, Narva, is just blast beats throughout the whole goddamn thing, with no moment of reprieve whatsoever. And that's kind of sad because that's what Marduk is known for. I would have loved for my favorite song on this album to be, oh yeah, you know, Marduk slowed it down a bit, and I really liked it. They slowed it down, made a nice groovy headbanger. Or maybe even something else. I don't know. I just wish there was some experimentation on here. And in all honesty, like I don't know. Marduk really just needs to get a new, fresh sound. Their past 3 albums have all sounded the exact same. Serpent Sermon, Frenchfine, and now this one. They all have the exact same sound to them. And that's why, progressively, I mean, maybe not Frenchfine. I feel like Frenchfine's better than Serpent Sermon, but they're still not nearly as good as the old Marduk sound. And I feel like Morgan, the main songwriter and guitar player of Marduk, needs to get into a better mindset, needs to get into a new mindset, and stop trying to be Marduk. It feels to me like this album is like a Marduk cover band trying to write their own album in the style of Marduk. It seems like a parody of Marduk itself sometimes on the faster bits, which they're still good, like I said, because I said they follow the Marduk formula to a T earlier. Yeah, the Marduk formula is good and it works. I just was wishing for something different. If the entire time they would have just stuck to the Marduk formula, this album probably would have gotten a 7 out of 10, I would think. But they didn't, and some parts slightly taper off. My favorite songs in this album are the fastest ones. Well, I guess maybe not the fastest ones, but some of the faster ones on the album. Narva and Viktoria. My least favorite songs on here, and some of the worst Marduk songs I've ever heard, in all honesty, are Tiger and Werewolf. Overall, I have to give this album a 6 out of 10. because, like I said, Marduk formula all the way through would have been a 7, but they dip down and they do something a little bit different from the Marduk formula. Maybe they slow down a little bit, which isn't that uncommon for Marduk. They do it all the time, but they slow down a bit, and then the slow parts suck and Werewolf sucks. So yeah, I don't know. 6 out of 10 on this thing, which, by the way, on my scale is not a bad album whatsoever, I should state. On my scale, a 6 out of 10 is a slightly above average album, which still means I enjoyed it more than I disliked it, because I like Marduk. Marduk has never done anything horribly bad, even on their earlier stuff whenever they had a not very good vocalist. I don't like their vocalist on their first 3 albums, and I know they changed from the first 2 albums had the same vocalist, and the third one had a different one. I believe that's how it went. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But their vocalist on their first 3 albums, not my favorite thing in the world. But yeah, like I said, 6 out of 10, it's above average. It's better than 60% of all albums ever released. It's in the top 40% of all albums. That's usually how my things go. Except for a 10 out of 10 would be like one of the best of all time. I'm not saying 10 out of 10 is the best album ever. But for me, 10 out of 10 is a really special score. And you'll probably, once in a blue moon, and I'm saying that very, like, very sparingly. I feel like maybe once every couple years or so you're going to see a 10 out of 10 from me. Not very often that 10 out of 10 albums come around. Yeah, but anyways, Marduk, Viktoria, 6 out of 10. It is me, the one and only Divine Iconoclast, signing off. You know what I just thought about, actually? I've never actually destroyed anything. I haven't been going around destroying icons. I wonder if I should change that. Oh well. I guess only time can tell.